Hi there, everyone. It is currently the 24th of November 2011, and happy Thanksgiving to all of my American viewers out here across the Western Pacific and Eastern Asia. Actually, for the weather today, though, we are seeing cooler temperatures drift in across much of the region. That fall-like atmosphere is going on across much of Japan, Korea, and even extend down towards Taiwan as another cold surge pushes in out of Siberia, following an area of low pressure that produced some rain showers out here across much of Honshu, extending down towards Kyushu yesterday. Well, today, actually seeing some snow showers upwards towards Hokkaido as that low continues to push up here towards the Kamchatka Peninsula while off towards the northeast. But extending along the southern periphery of that, we do see widespread convection across the northern Philippines today, producing some heavy rain shower and actually some gusty winds as well. If we look at the surface analysis from KMA here, the Korean Meteorological Administration, you do see a very tight gradient extending down towards Luzon Strait. Also, you couple that with some funneling out here, and especially along the southern portions of Taiwan, you could see winds upwards of 30 to 40 knots. Even extending farther off towards the north, towards Okinawa, as indicated on here, you do see some of these 15-knot wind barbs, some 20 knots here along the southern Ryukyu Islands. Do expect that the increase as the high continues to settle here towards the south, but even as far north as the Kanto Plain, especially in my location here, I do hear a lot of gusty winds outside, actually seeing right around about 20 to 25 knots today, so still a very strong gradient out here as that low interacts with this high and settles towards the south here. And also another thing I do want to note, and this has been fairly constant last several days, is this abundant amount of fog out here across eastern China as that high pushes towards the south, that cooler air running over the warmer surface out here, especially the ground, and all that ground here is still relatively warmer than the air above it, so it's creating this advection fog. But looking down towards the south, as far as the tropics today, we do have an area of convection moving off of Borneo, off towards Thailand today. Not expecting a development with this, but if we move a little bit farther towards the west in the satellite picture, you can just prog out the movement of this convection and realize that it is definitely going to impact southern portions of Thailand here and parts of Malaysia, as well as that moves onshore and moves across the Malaysian peninsula here. So definitely expect an increase in rainfall here over the next 24 to 48 hours for these tropical areas north of the Malacca Strait here, but also across Indonesia. You still have the combination of sea breeze effects here and the influence of this next surge of energy moving across the region, so definitely could see the potential for an increase in rain showers and definitely a possibility of flooding out across that area as well. And even if we drift a little bit farther towards the west on a satellite picture here, we do see this area of convection blowing up just southeast of Sri Lanka. JTWC is calling this a low area, or the low potential of development over the next 24 hours. So we definitely could see an increase in some rainfall across Sri Lanka as that potentially develops here. And actually, on the last several frames, you do see a few inflow bands forming up around this. And if we look at a different imagery here, the microwave imagery on this system, you can see some inflow actually forming up here along the southern periphery. You see all these little bandings in here. Well, the center of circulation is actually located right in this region, so you see that flow coming around it and pushing off here towards the north, and eventually all this moisture is going to move onshore along the eastern coast of Sri Lanka. So that's where you definitely could see the potential for some increased rainfall and some severe thunderstorm activity in that area. But as far as any development beyond a weak tropical depression, I don't think is very likely for that system around India. The vorticities from the MJO forecast do pop up here and show a little bit of increase in this entire region, but all in all, though, I do think that it is going to remain relatively weak just due to the amount of vertical wind shear out there, and also it's going to start land interaction with the southern coast of India as well. But if we look at the western Pacific on the same chart here, you do see the numbers relatively low out across this area, and that means that especially in the area in the South China Sea, at least with this forecast, there's not enough energy there to develop it into anything significant. And that's not even mentioning the wind shear out across this area. And if you see that convection down here towards the south, it does have about 5 to 10 knots around it, but also noting it is south of 10 degrees north here. If you look just north of that, look at all of this wind shear out here, about 40 knots and higher as you can increase your northerly progression across this region. So at this time, definitely not conducive for any tropical development whatsoever out here across the western Pacific today in late November. So with that said, anything in the tropics really is just going to be relatively isolated around that monsoonal trough that we were talking about earlier. You see this convection moving onshore across much of Thailand and Malaysia. This is from the TRMM satellite, the Tropical Rainfall Measurement System, and it just shows those last 3 hourly progression of rainfall here, moving across the South China Sea, and all this rain is going to move onshore out here across Malaysia the next 24 to 48 hours. But that is all for right now, everybody. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, as always, please post them in the comment box below. And definitely, if you have any feedback on any areas out here that you would like me to zoom in on or talk about in the Western Pacific, Eastern Asia, or even down far south as Australia, I'm always open ears and definitely would like to hear your comments. So thanks again, everybody. Stay safe out there. Have a great day.